Condo special assessments are forcing people to sell their condos for pennies on the dollar. Some of these people are seniors with no other place to go. In this video, we're going to hear from condo owners who are expected to pay thousands of dollars in assessments overnight. We'll also learn about why exactly this is happening. The last story we hear is going to be absolutely heartbreaking, so make sure you stay until the end to check that out. But first, I need you to hit that subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you have to follow this channel. Also, if where you live is too expensive and you want to learn how to invest out of state, I have a free training linked in the description of this video that's going to show you the process, so make sure you check that out. First, let's hear about a condo owner who got an assessment of over $200,000.
Sleepless nights?
Sleepless nights? Every night. I don't know where we're going to live or how we're going to live.
Howard Konitz never thought he'd be in this situation at 79 years old.
We can't afford it. We can't afford it. We're going to go broke.
Konitz and his wife Sheila have lived in their 2-bedroom, 2-bath Williams Island condo for 10 years. The retired couple had their financial future all planned out.
Elevator modernization.
That was until they were recently hit with a special assessment. The total assessment for the apartment we're sitting in is what?
Approximately $224,000.
When you say that number, can you believe it?
No, not at all.
That's on top of their monthly maintenance that's gone from $1,500 to $3,000.
This man is 79 years old and they're expecting him to come up with $234,000. Where do they expect him to get that money from? How many people do you know with a spare $224,000 lying around to pay this ridiculous special assessment? Like, how do they expect him to come up with the money? Do they want him to cash out his 401k and whatever else he was going to live off of for the rest of his days just to pay this, if he even has that? These folks really must assume all of the owners in that building are filthy rich, because it just does not make sense that they're expecting someone to write a check for multiple 6 figures overnight. The monthly maintenance has also doubled from $1,500 a month to $3,000 a month. All of you watching, let me know one good reason that they could justify doubling the cost of maintenance in addition to this ridiculous special assessments. Comment and let me know. Seeing this type of thing really leads me to believe that they want people to lose their condos and just be out on the street. It almost feels like there's a greater plan at work. But let me know what you think is going on here. Do you think this is intentional, or do you think this is simply a coincidence? Let me know in the comments. If you thought that was bad, it gets worse. You won't believe how much other people in this building are being charged and what the money's being spent on. It's ridiculous. And I guarantee that the response that this man got from somebody about his situation is going to upset you.
According to Condo Docs, assessments in Mediterranean Village in Williams Island, where Konitz lives, are as high as $400,000 for just one apartment. Projects budgeted for his building include everything from consultants to roofing, concrete restoration, elevator modernization, termite treatment, and $700,000 alone for landscaping?
Somebody also told me, well, if you're not able to pay, you shouldn't be living here.
Over $400,000 for some of these apartments. I just don't get it. That is crazy to me. And here's the other question I have. Why does all of this need to happen at the same time? The fact that someone looked this man in the face and told him, if you can't afford to pay, then you shouldn't live here, is unbelievable. I guarantee you, if that person had an elderly family member who got hit with a $224,000 bill overnight, they would have a whole different kind of energy. They would never respond to him in that way if it was their relative. If it was them in that situation, they wouldn't want anybody to talk to them like that and dismiss them by saying, if you can't afford $224,000 and you can't write the check right now, you shouldn't live here. It's ridiculous. Come on. It's amazing to me how people can lack empathy for what other people are going through, especially seniors. It's really sad. What's even worse is that this man and the other residents in that building didn't have sufficient time to come up with the money or figure out some sort of plan to pay for these assessments. This is why I always advise all of you to be very careful if you're considering buying a condo, because something like this can happen and there's nothing that you can do about it. For those of you who own condos, let me know in the comments if you are currently experiencing a ridiculous assessment, or if you have in the past. I'm curious to hear about your experience. So make sure you leave a comment below and let me know. Now, many of you might be thinking that the best way out for this man is to sell his condo and let someone else deal with the problem. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, and here's why.
The assessments at Williams Island can't be passed on to a potential buyer. Konitz has had his condo on the market and has dropped the price several times. He was turned down for a reverse mortgage by a lender due to strict condo rules.
Maybe I can give it away for pennies on the dollar.
He is not alone. This listing at the Cricket Club in North Miami discloses a $134,000 assessment.
So one thing that's clear is that the special assessment would pass on to the next person who purchased the condo. Now, why would somebody purchase a condo knowing that their true cost is actually $234,000 more because they have to pay for that special assessment? I don't see any upside for a potential buyer in that scenario. I really feel for folks in this situation because it's going to be extremely difficult to sell. In the clip, the man mentioned potentially selling the property for pennies on the dollar to get rid of it. And unfortunately, that might be what he has to do to get out of this situation. We also don't know if he purchased it in cash, if he still has a mortgage on it. There's a whole lot of things we don't know, and all around it's just a really unfortunate situation. Notice they showed that $134,000 assessment being included with the listing for that Miami condo. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot more listings that include ridiculous special assessments because people are desperate to get out. Now let's take a look at the listing for this guy's condo, because unfortunately it's a lot worse than they shared in the news. All right, so currently the condo is for sale for $499,000, 2-bed, 2-bath, about 2,000 square feet. And the HOA fees are $2,190 per month, which is unbelievable. And it's been on the market for over 190 days. Built in 1988. So let's look at the property history. So this property was initially on the market in 2022 and it was listed at $634,700. The price got cut $615,700, so it got cut by about $20,000. They took it down from the MLS at the beginning of 2023 after it was listed for about 3 months. They put it back on for even less, so they put it back at $599. Then they cut the price to $579. They cut the price to $559. They removed the listing and they listed it again at the beginning of 2024. $559, removed the listing, and they put it back once again at the end of March for $499. So I hope you can see what's going on here. He's actually been trying to get rid of this property for several years, which I absolutely understand, and it's not getting better. And I'm afraid he's going to have to keep cutting the price and hope that someone will buy it, pay the special assessment, and he can move on with his life and hopefully figure out something else. It's truly heartbreaking that so many people are experiencing this. The truth is, the news is only sharing a fraction of those who are suffering right now. But we need to understand exactly why this is happening. As a reminder, the last story is one that you don't want to miss. So make sure you stick around till the end so you can check that out.
A new Florida law enacted after the 2021 collapse of the Champlain Towers in Surfside mandates increased building inspections and reserve funding for condo buildings. The rules come with a hefty price tag for owners of older buildings.
Have you ever seen numbers like this?
No.
Susie Friedel has been a realtor for 50 years. She's a mediator for the Miami Board of Realtors and the Florida Supreme Court.
What is the assessment on the apartment that you have for sale?
Just about $290,000. There needs to be assessments. The problem is they've done too much at one time. The boards have gotten so nervous about all this that now they're doing everything at once.
There is no comment on camera from the association. In a brief phone conversation, association president Mike Siegel said, quote, "We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have to. It's not like we're stealing people's money."
You know, the board does what they want.
The position you're in, what do you do?
Pray.
Now, I understand why they want to have increased inspections for the buildings and also certain reserve requirements for the buildings. The problem is it's being executed horribly. You can't simply pass on the cost to people overnight and expect them to write the check and fix the problem immediately. That's not realistic. I've covered other people in similar situations on this channel, and it's very clear that the solution is not just charging people thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, expecting that that they have the money and that after that, everything will be okay. That's not how the world works. In my opinion, the government should have come up with a better way to approach this and do it in a way that's sustainable so that people aren't on the verge of foreclosure or having to sell their homes for pennies on the dollar, etc. You let me know if you agree with me on that. Now, of course, the Condo Association president didn't want to come on camera because they know they're wrong and they are absolutely stealing people's money, because the reality of it is the majority of people cannot afford these special assessments. And if they can pay for it, most likely it's money that they can't actually afford to spend, and they're going to be left penniless. In my opinion, the people on the board should be fired or they should all resign. Why weren't the associations making sure that the buildings had enough reserve funds over the years? That would have helped a lot in this current situation that we're in now. But you let me know, do you think those on the Condo Association board at this building and all the other buildings where there's these crazy special assessments, should they be fired? You let me know. This next story was tough. As you all know, I don't like when seniors are impacted by these kinds of situations, things they can't control. When they're out of their working years, many of them physically can't work, they're on fixed incomes, living off maybe a pension or their retirement account, Social Security, etc., and they have very little financial flexibility. So because of that, it was really hard to watch this next clip. Let's check it out.
This area ain't no big money here.
The perils of living in paradise taking a toll on Rufina Capelli. She's lived in her St. Petersburg condo for nearly 30 years, but tonight a deadline is looming. In 4 days, the first installment of her $1,200 assessment is due.
I was shocked because I didn't think it was going to be that high.
An unwelcome surprise, the notice sent to residents just 3 weeks ago.
We never were told that it was going to be that much. Your condo has been kicking the can down the road for years, and Florida condos have allowed their reserves to go way down.
So they were notified 3 weeks ago that they had a surprise payment of thousands of dollars. If someone told you that in 3 weeks, you'll have to start paying $1,200 a month for a certain period of time, how would you feel? How would you respond? The reality of it is money is tight for a lot of people out there, and most would not be able to afford a sudden $1,200 increase in their monthly expenses if they're working. So now how do they expect the elderly who are retired to afford that kind of expense? One of the biggest issues I have with all of this is people are not being given enough time to come up with the money. You can't just expect somebody to cut a check in a few weeks. We're in danger of finding ourselves in a place where seniors are being forced out of their condos and they have nowhere else to go. And your everyday person is going to be struggling to sell their condo and get out of this special assessment nightmare. Now, you won't believe what an attorney had to say about this particular situation. In my opinion, it was completely insensitive, and I'm honestly surprised that the news included his commentary in the clip.
What should someone do if they're in this situation?
So they have to find a way to find the money.
Finn says unpaid assessment fees come with serious consequences.
The board can and will impose a lien upon the condo and ultimately sell it in foreclosure, and they'll lose their home.
Rufina says her payment plan will help, but options still limited to cover the cost. Do you have any hope?
So things are going to change out here? No, it's not going to change.
So tonight, some attorneys worried that a wave of foreclosures could be on the horizon. As for those who are unable to pay their assessment, financing may be an option, but some may have to make that difficult decision to sell.
In just about every video, multiple times throughout the video, my number one question is, where are people supposed to find this money? Now, here comes this guy saying you have to find a way to get the money. I would like to see him tell that woman to her face. Tell the man from earlier in the video to his face, hey, you just got to figure it out. You just got to find a way to come up with the money. How disrespectful is that? I mean, what is he talking about? Is money going to fall out of the sky? Are we going to go up in a tree and find this money to pay $234,000 to pay $1,200 a month? Is it just going to come out of the sky? Let me know in the comments. Let's make this interesting. Where can people go to find that money? Because I can't figure it out. Unfortunately, there's probably going to be a lot of people who get liens on their condos and eventually get into foreclosure. And when they get into foreclosure, their credit is going to be shot and they'll be starting with nothing. Now that you know about the condo crisis in Florida, I want you to learn about the insurance crisis happening all over the country. Check out this video right here.